Am I the a-hole for demanding respect from my daughter-in-law, and if she can't, get the heck out? I'm a young mother-in-law at only 39. I had my kids pretty young, and I am very lucky that my husband makes a lot of money, so I don't have to work. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and once they started to spread their wings instead of going to work, my husband and I decided I would be a homemaker and be active in the community. That's what I have been up to, and I try to make the community a better place. Now, my oldest son, 22, is married and I was really excited until I met her. In general, she is a very business-focused person that is very blunt. I actively dislike her, but I try to be polite for my son's sake. A few examples of why I don't like her. Her wedding gift I handed over saying it was for me and my husband. She responded back with, "Just your husband, since I know it wasn't your money that paid for it." Saying I'm volunteering, but well, that's not a real job since it doesn't make money. It's passive-aggressive, and yes, I've talked to my son about it, and even once with her to try to clear the air. We had a get-together last night, and I made a homemade meal. When I was placing everything, she came up to me and made a comment that no wonder I could make a home-cooked meal. I don't do anything else with my day. I lost it and told her that she needs to respect me or get the heck out of my house. She was shocked and then started to cry when I did kick her out. My son is mad, and we had a huge argument, and he called me a huge a-hole. Now I need an outside opinion. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Wow, she's a total a-hole. Just because you don't conform to her business-focused personality doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. What you and your husband have works for the two of you, and you volunteer for the community. Whether it pays or not doesn't take away from your commitment and responsibility to show to others. Daughter-in-law is a piece of work. What does husband say to all of this? My husband hates her, and I had to drag him to the wedding, only so it wouldn't destroy his and our son's relationship. Look, I hate to say this, but it sounds like your son doesn't respect you. She acted like she was better than you, more than once, and your son should have nipped that in the bud first time. Basic respect for partners' parents should be a hill to die on, in my opinion. Honestly, you should sit him down, the three of you without a daughter-in-law, and see what the heck is going on. This woman might be twisting facts or not, but if you can't see how wrong her behavior is and doesn't check her, I just minimize the contact with both for as long as needed, preferably till it comes to his senses. Agreeing with this and adding, please make sure you tell your son you both love him, and when this marriage ends, he should know he can count on you both for support. You are definitely not the only person daughter-in-law is treating this way. Eventually, he will recognize the pattern that he married an a-hole, and hopefully he'll be able to get out. You can keep a firm boundary about how she treats you, and still let him know he's welcome to come home when it implodes with her. Not the a-hole. Holy crap. She's putting you down for being a stay-at-home mom for what? Shits and giggles? That's very small of her. She's the a-hole, and the fact that you've talked to your son about this, and how he's most likely seen her, makes these comments makes him an a-hole too. I firmly believe that you don't marry someone because they get along with your family, but that doesn't mean they get to treat your family like trash. Jealousy. Dollars to donuts, the daughter-in-law tries to finagle her way into being a stay-at-home mom before this business-focused shell cracks. Not the a-hole. How on earth could your son be justifying this behavior? He says it's cultural, but this woman was raised in the same country as me and is the same race. So I don't know how it's cultural to be a prick. It's cultural to disrespect your boyfriend's mom in her own home? Lol. Your son is full of it, and he knows it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to wear my sister-in-law's wedding dress to my wedding? I, 23 female, am getting married to my fiancé, 24 male, in a month. He has an identical twin brother, with whom he's keeping a bit of a distance with because of his past possessive behavior of wanting to share everything with each other, from interests, hobbies, and even friends. His brother got eloped to his wife, 27 female, and even suggested to my fiancé to do the same on the same day as him. But of course, he shut that down quickly as we both agreed on having a wedding already. However, I ended up being contacted by my fiancé's brother requesting me to wear his wife's wedding dress from their elopement to my wedding, which I obviously turned down, telling him that I've already got a specific wedding dress in my mind. He dropped the subject, and for 2 weeks I didn't hear about it again, so I thought that was the end of it. But yesterday, my fiancé's brother and his wife showed up at our house, uninvited may I add, got up sister-in-law's wedding dress, and then literally asked me to try out right here, and that they'd make adjustments if the size doesn't fit. Thank God my husband stepped in and kicked them both out of our house, even though it did end up with a really big argument between my fiancé and his brother. I got contacted again later on by my brother-in-law, who said that my inability to make any compromises in order for his and his brother's wedding experiences to be intertwined is straining their relationship. Honestly, at this point, I'm just getting the creeps from brother-in-law, and my gut's telling me that him and sister-in-law may attempt to sabotage our wedding out of revenge. And even my husband agrees with the sentiment. We're now strongly considering to uninvite both my brother-in-law and sister-in-law from our wedding, but my husband's still a bit reluctant to do it yet because of the inevitable drama it'll cause with his family. Am I the a-hole? Compromises? What compromises? Your wedding is between you and your future husband. Your brother-in-law is delusional for thinking he has a say in your wedding, not the a-hole. He wants my fiancé to have a similar wedding experience as him at any cost. He even tried to guilt trip us about the dress thing by saying that he already accepted we want a wedding instead of eloping like them. His entitlement is honestly getting out of hand at this point. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé and brother-in-law are not 5 anymore, where they have to wear matching outfits and share toys. This is you and your fiancé's wedding, not your brother-in-law and sister-in-law. They had their day. You have yours the way you both want without your brother-in-law inserting himself. By the way, what is your mother-in-law's stance on all this? According to my fiancé, their mom always found it adorable how his brother wanted to share and do everything together with him when they were children. And I don't think that stance from her has changed. Especially because my fiancé is sure she'll completely object to him and inviting his brother from his wedding if it gets there. I'm sure it was cute when they were 5, not so much at 25. I'm imagining sister-in-law showing up to the wedding in her wedding dress wanting pictures with the groom. Not gonna lie, my sister-in-law showing up in her wedding dress to my wedding is one of the things I fear may happen, especially after she made a comment about her dress looking too good to be used only once. Tell her she's supposed to have it put away to pass down to her children someday, not to use it to try to relive her wedding day vicariously through you. Not the a-hole. That is creepy. I suggest passwords with all your vendors just in case. And a bouncer. Your wedding planner, security, someone to make sure your wedding and reception stays your way. Someone who will turn away anyone not invited or wearing a wedding dress who isn't you. This. I've read too many stories about psycho family members who changed the actual wedding couple's plans without their knowledge. And you picked a password, since the twin might be really good at guessing what his brother would pick. Make sure all planners, caterers, etc. know that the groom has an identical twin who's looking to cause trouble. If they're being this weird, his brother showing up to these places as him probably isn't as unlikely as you'd hope. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my baby shower? My husband and I have been trying to have a baby for several years. We had a really hard time conceiving, but after a few years of trying, we finally got pregnant. We told our family the news and told them the baby names we had picked, Violet for a girl and Carson for a boy. We unfortunately lost the baby in the second trimester. Then we experienced 2 more miscarriages and went through a couple more rounds of failed IVF. It was a very difficult and traumatic time for us. We visited my family over the 2022 winter holidays, and my sister announced that she was pregnant. I was genuinely happy for her, until she told us the names they'd chosen. Violet for a girl, Carson for a boy. I took her aside and told her that I was very happy for her pregnancy, but hurt and confused that she would choose our baby names, especially with everything we've been through. And she basically said, "Don't try to pull the miscarriage card on me. You can't call dibs on a name." I tried talking to her a couple more times about it, but each time she'd say things like, "You might never have kids. You can't just keep those names in reserve forever," and was just so hurtful. I stopped bringing it up for the sake of keeping the peace, and after a few months, she told my parents she wasn't going to use either of those names, but wouldn't tell anybody what name they had chosen. Fast forward to a couple months ago, and she gave birth to her baby girl, Violetta Carson. And I'm just so hurt. I found out in the early spring that I'm pregnant, and I'm far enough along now that the doctors feel pretty good about everything, and we let our families know last month. My mom and her friends have planned a baby shower, but I told her I do not want my sister invited. My mom said I'm being an a-hole for not inviting her over the baby's name, but at this point it's not even about the name to me anymore. It's the malicious comments, the lack of compassion, and the overall pettiness. So tell me, good people of Reddit, am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my baby shower? Edit for further context. Prior to this, my sister and I were in decent terms. She's always been competitive and attention-seeking, and growing up, she'd find ways to one-up me or make my special occasions like my birthday party or high school graduation all about her. But never to this extent. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm usually on team you can't call dibs on a name. But the fact that she chose both names you had picked, it is completely dismissive of the pain caused by miscarriage, makes it seem like this is more about hurting you than choosing a name she really likes. She used both names, but changed them both significantly. What the hell is that about? It's about technically being able to say that she didn't use her sister's baby names, which, whatever, still a prick move. Well, she's now stuck with her daughter having Carson for a middle name, so Opie gets the last laugh. I realize people can't call dibs on names, but the lack of compassion demonstrated by her sister is poor form. Her alternative spellings of both names seem spiteful. You're not the a-hole for not wanting her at the baby shower. Have nice people there to share your joy. Imagine being so competitive and vindictive you ruin your child's life to stick it to your sister. Yeah, she took two beautiful names and completely butchered them. I honestly think I'd feel more sorry for her than anything else. You're not the a-hole. Sounds like your mom is in some denial about how her other daughter has behaved all her life. She's always been competitive and attention-seeking, and growing up, she'd find ways to one-up me or make my special occasions, like my birthday party or high school graduation, all about her. And your mom doesn't see the problem? No, it's not just about the name. It's about narcissistic egotism, lies, and mocking your tragedies. Not the a-hole OP. Her mom doesn't see the problem because her head is so far up sister's butt. You can tell this is a typical golden child syndrome probably caused by the mother. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to work more if she wants to help her sister financially? My wife, 38 female, and I, 37 male, have been married for 12 years and have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5. We both work full-time and have the kids in daycare during the summer until school starts up again. We both make decent money, but with the cost of literally everything going up more and more often, our budget is getting tighter. We still live comfortably within our means, but we are saving much less and are being more conscious of our discretionary spending. Our youngest is starting kindergarten this fall, so that will help because we aren't spending on daycare anymore. But our oldest kids are now in more sports and extracurricular activities, which pretty much offset any saving we would be doing in childcare. We aren't anywhere near struggling, but we are definitely more aware of how we spend our money now. My wife's younger sister, Jen, 30 female, is 6 months pregnant with her 3rd child. Jen is not married, and this is her 3rd different baby daddy. Only one of the first 2 fathers is involved. The other is a complete deadbeat who regularly skips child support payments. Jen recently called my wife and told her that her current baby's dad left her, and she's freaking out and asking for help. Whether that be money, a place to stay, anything. My wife's parents both passed away, and they have no other siblings, just each other. So obviously my wife wants to do whatever we can to help. But we don't have the space to house them, and don't have a lot of extra money to give them either. My wife wants to give Jen a few $100s every month, and to start watching her 2 older kids so Jen can keep working. Personally, I think that idea is short-sighted, because Jen won't be able to work after the new baby comes. My idea was to dip into savings and pay for a lawyer for Jen to do a better job for getting the child support she's owed. I would rather bite the bigger bullet once than death by 1,000 cuts over months and months. But my wife says that won't help put food on Jen's table every week. So I laid out our budget and asked my wife where we can make cuts to support Jen, because I just don't see it. I asked her what she would be willing to give up or have our kids go without to support Jen. She got mad at me and called me heartless for not wanting to help. It turned into a fight, and I ended up telling her that if she wants to support her sister like this, then she is going to need to work more or get a second job, because I'm not compromising our family budget long term. All of our finances are shared, so it's not like either of us has our own money to use however we want. I also know that my wife and I are the only family Jen has, and I agree that we should help. But adding hundreds or possibly more to our monthly budget isn't going to work. Jen needs more help than we can provide, and she needs to find resources that can do that for her. But my wife thinks I am being an uncaring a-hole about this. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Someone might want to explain to Jen what keeps causing these pregnancies. You have no idea how hard I had to bite my tongue to keep myself from bringing this up. But that would have done nothing but add fuel to the fire. No point in making this worse than it is. You seem very level-headed about all of this. It's a difficult situation, but I think you've been fair in presenting the options and trying to think long-term, and getting her the child support she's owed sounds like the best idea to me. Not the a-hole. Ask her what she would be willing to give up, or have our kids go without to support Jen. She dodged the question that needs to be asked and played a guilt trip on top of it. Not the a-hole. Stay the course. Your sister-in-law has made her own bed and can continue lying in it. This OP. Your home and your children should not be punished or suffer the consequences of your sister-in-law's decisions. What will happen if there is a fourth or even a fifth nephew? Is it going to be a constant situation in which your children cannot have benefits for this? Your sister-in-law has to deal with the consequences of her actions and put her life in order. Otherwise, her behavior will only escalate and you will be the ones harmed by it. Not the a-hole. Stand your ground. As someone who suffered more than one instance of deadbeat aunt needs help, be mindful of your kids. They see and understand way more than you think they do.